Well, my name is Terry Mahony. I'm a retired Navy captain submariner. And I came to Sandpoint for the first time in 1981, which is sort of late in the lifetime of Sandpoint. But I had some good experiences there, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. When my first job here was as professor of naval science at the University of Washington. The thing that amazed me, though, was that the active duty people welcomed my wife and I and the midshipmen, everybody, in great style. And we, in fact, used to drill down at Sandpoint. We drilled when the people in back didn't complain too much, but they couldn't do enough for us, and I was just amazed at the reception we got. The other thing I remember, we're here in the Seattle Yacht Club, was that the Yacht Club had a good connection with Sandpoint. The Yacht Club people and the people from Sandpoint would get together once a year up here. They'd start out here at the club, and we'd have a drink or two, and then we'd get on the boat, and we'd drive all the way down to Sandpoint. And they had sailors there to moor us and tie us up. And then we went to the Officers Club. And we held forth there for quite a while. And then they brought us all back here, and then some of us had to be driven home. But it was a lot of fun. And the Yacht Club people really liked Sandpoint, and they were so disappointed when it closed. They missed the camaraderie and everything that we had between the two organizations. I just spent 3 years at the NROTC at the University of Washington, and then I was going to retire, and a classmate of mine from the Naval Academy wanted me to be his chief of staff. So I became chief of staff for the Naval District, and that was another 3-year tour. I would say that probably his relief was a fellow named Paul Reason. Paul Reason was the first black admiral to be head of the here. He was very popular. He ended up becoming a 4-star admiral. And I probably would say he was the best boss I ever had. Well, yeah, we, Old Man 4, we went out, we were the starter boat in the center of it. And it was a great event. I love seafaring. We'd be out in the middle there, and if it was typical of a warm day, over the side swimming was allowed. The Old Man 4 is the Admiral's yacht, or barge, actually. It's not really a yacht. It's a 50-foot boat built here in Puget Sound, 60 years ago or something, but the Navy's kept it in tip-top shape. And so we had all the flags on board, and we started the races and we flagged the winners. So it was similar to opening day, in that even though opening day was run by the Seattle Yacht Club and operated out of here, we had a lot of Navy participation in that. Various size boats and so forth. Even had one commander who was a friend of mine decided that he could bring his ship in here. And I said, well, I don't know about that. And so he came, put his small boat in the water and took soundings, and he said he could make it. Well, he was coming in, he made a bad turn and ran aground, which is something a Navy captain shouldn't do. Seafare was a big deal to us. Of course, we had the Blue Angels, and we were in charge of the Blue Angels. I almost lost my career over that, though, because we forgot to invite them one year. And they had already filled out their schedule. And, well, it was actually the job of the public affairs officer to do that, and he forgot it. And therefore, I forgot it. But anyway, so the next thing that we went to the Secretary of Defense, and he said no, he wouldn't change the Blue Angel schedule for anybody. We go on. Well, fortunately, the admiral knew a fella who was the fundraiser in Washington State for George Bush the First. And so he called him, and lo and behold, the Blue Angels showed up. Well, at the Officers Club, I think it was the probably in my career the best party-giving organization going. And there was the women's group who always had a big party every Christmas, but there were formal, put your tux on, was the Navy equivalent of a tux, and lots of good dances. They always had a good orchestra. I guess one of the dramatic memories of that, we were having a party, and we were eating outside, but we were going to have a dance inside, and it was a night that O.J. Simpson had his low-speed escape. And we were all wondering, what in the world is going on here? And it was sort of took away from the party, but we still danced and had a good time. You know, there were groundings that happened, and I don't think we lost any ships. Probably, if you want to know, the hardest thing we did was try and find a place to move Sand Point. It really was not our decision. It turned out later because Senator Scoop Jackson wanted it in Everett. And when he talked to the Secretary of the Navy, but we went and visited, and we talked to, both the Admiral and I would split the duties, but we talked to almost everybody that could possibly base it there, you know. And you know, I felt bad about it because those people really needed the financial input that we could have given, and did give Everett. But Everett didn't need it like Kelso, Longview, and Bellingham did. They really were hurting, and Stillmire, I think, a bit. And I felt bad that, you know, they came there with bells on, all enthusiastic, and big dinners and big turnouts of people, and wanted to hear, because they thought they were going to get it because I showed up there, or the Admiral showed up. But I think down deep we knew it wasn't going to happen. But well, one of them, I think, crashed. The other, though, was just dumped out there. And you know, the Lake Washington is 300 feet deep, and they take it out to the deepest part. Well, a couple of young men, enterprising young men, got these things up to the surface. And the Secretary of the Navy wanted us to get it back, get those planes back. Well, you know, they were old. One of them had been burned. And so we went back and forth, and finally, we took it to court that we were going to get those Navy planes back. Well, we lost our shirt on that one. I mean, there was something that said that, well, once it belonged to the Navy, it always belonged to the Navy. But the judge didn't buy that for a minute. So they young men were able to keep it. The one that went down at the south end of Lake Washington was a Boeing plane that was in tip-top shape, and it had everything on board. What were they called? B something. It was a seaplane or float plane, B-27 or something. A big plane that went right down, and that one, I mean, they still had ammunition inside the machine gun when they pulled it up, I guess. But I don't know whatever happened to that one. The other one, I was way beyond repair. I don't know what they couldn't put it back together. Well, you know, that's I'm glad to see it. There's some of them that they are going to have to be torn down, and I don't know what they're going to do about that because they're full of asbestos, and it's going to cost them city millions of dollars. But we belong to a church nearby there, and my wife and I take food down. They've converted the BOQ into and apartment units for unmarried mothers, single mothers, and that's worked out well. They have built several new units down there, and of course the famous one is the women's brig, which is now the head of the community center down there, the only one on the West Coast, and it was only finished shortly before the base closed. And everybody knew the base was going to close, so why are we building this beautiful building? Well, it's turned out to be a wonderful place for the city. They have a lot of meetings there and all. I think the civilians and the sailors and the officers that we had there, I mean, they just couldn't do enough.